At 514-790-0800, let me read you one text message here about what we're discussing. Elias, my daughter is having a hard time right now finding an apartment for July because she has a dog and most places won't accept them. Now, listen, there's no denying it, right? That if you've got a pet, it is much tougher to get an apartment. But the question this morning is, do you have a right to that apartment if you've got a pet? Now, ruling from the Housing Tribunal in Quebec has found that no pet clauses are in violation of the Quebec Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms. Do you have a right for a pet in an apartment? 514-790-0800. Before we get to our phone lines, let's head straight over to Sophie Gaillard, Director of Animal Advocacy and Legal Affairs at the Montreal SPCA. Sophie, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me again.
How do you view this ruling?
Well, as you can imagine, the SPCA is thrilled with this ruling. The issue is no pet clauses is something we've been working on for over a decade now at the SPCA, and we're happy to have this finally recognized as being a major issue in terms of human rights. And yes, we welcome this decision and are very excited to see what will it result.
You know, I've heard from landlords already on this subject, and some of the reaction is, well, you know, don't I have some rights here? And they also think about, you know, their property, and they say that pets can sometimes destroy property in a way that humans don't. So I just wonder what you feel about that side of things here, because
Sure.
This is pretty interesting for this tribunal to say it violates the Quebec Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms. That's pretty weighty, and I think other people would have questions about their rights.
Sure. Well, maybe first I can talk about landlords' rights, and then maybe we can get into how the judge came to that conclusion on how this infringes human rights. So first, in terms of landlords, of course they do have rights, and those rights are already protected in the Quebec Civil Code. There's a number of provisions in the Civil Code that already protect owners and landlords in case of damages, whether those are caused by humans or animals. Tenants have to repair damages or compensate when there are damages. There's also municipal bylaws that really limit the types of animals people can have in dwelling houses, how many they can have, cleanliness, nuisances. There's already a robust legal framework when it comes to damages to rental property and nuisances. And that was in fact recognized by the tribunal in its decision. The judge even qualified these existing protections as being largely sufficient to protect landlords. So that will not change. Those protections are still in place, and landlords do have rights to compensation if there are damages. So just to make that clear. And then another point is also it's important to remember that no pet clauses are currently illegal in Ontario, in France, in Germany, and other parts of the world, and there has been no disaster when it comes to suddenly, rental properties being ravaged by animals.
I don't know about I don't know about all of those places, but I do know Ontario, they allow you to charge a security deposit. And another thing I've heard from... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if I can just rectify that, they can charge the deposit for rent, and that deposit can only be used if the rent is not paid. In no case can it be used to compensate for damages. The Ontario legislation is very clear on that point.
Would you be okay with the compromise of where, you know what, you can have pets, but let us charge a security deposit because sometimes people leave and they don't pay for damages and they just want some protection? To you, would that be a good compromise?
Well, we have no opinion in terms of the deposit issue in general, but we would be opposed to this being applied just to people who have animals, because the reason why this is a problem in the first place is because, this really disproportionately impacts vulnerable people, low-income individuals, people who live alone, etc. And we don't want those people to be disadvantaged even more just because they have animals.
Sophie, it is a big win. There's a chance of appeal here, though, right? This is preliminary.
There is. The decision is final at the level of the tribunal. However, the landlord can appeal the decision. They have 30 days from the date of the decision to do so. So we're waiting to see what happens. But what we're also hoping this will create is some impetus at the legislative level for this issue to move forward. Because, as you know, I think we've talked about this before, you and I, the SPCA has been active on this issue also on the legislative side of things. And we are asking political parties in Quebec to commit to legislating as part of their election platforms in the upcoming election. So we're hoping that this will persuade parties to take a stance on this.
Sophie, thanks for coming on today. Appreciate your insight here.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Sophie Gaillard from the Montreal SPCA.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
Or the free iHeartRadio app.